interviewing me, and then I end up interviewing them.
No, that's exactly how, how it's supposed to go though. I think that's what people want to
Okay.
hear, right? People
Okay.
want to
Cool. Yeah.
people want to hear the chit chat and the catch up. I had a good catch up with Sal yesterday. We ended up just talking about God for like almost 90 minutes.
Oh man, that's his jam right now. That guy is just like, I mean, I think he's going to catch up to all the church I did my entire life in a matter of a year's time. Man, he is. I mean,
He's on it,
Sal.
man.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
once he switches over to anything, right, that he's interested in, it's hard to get him to think about anything else. So it's been
Exactly.
great.
Exactly.
It's been a fun journey being a Christian my whole life, and then patiently working with my atheist strong-willed friend, watching him come to that all on his own has been it's been a fun ride for Justin and I for sure. It's been pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. I followed from a distance through his Twitter and just starting to see him pump out, religious talk. And yeah, he's like such a brilliant guy. I mean, all you guys are brilliant, but like he's so into like he doesn't go halfway into things, right? Like
No.
you can just see like the research and just like the attention to detail. I'm like, yep, that there he goes. He's gonna be telling me things here momentarily.
Oh
I've
yeah,
been a
no,
Christian
he's
since I was 8 years old, so it's
yeah,
like
me too. I'm
it's crazy.
seven. Seven was when I did, and he's already doing that to me. He's like, because he knows how far back I go, that he'll start telling me a story like, this part in Ephesians, whatever, and I'm like, dude, it's been a minute. You're gonna have to tell me, because you definitely you're all in on it right now, and I'm not. So it's like hearing you talk about it. It's been really fun, really cool to watch him do it.
Yeah.
And he's such an effective communicator. It's the reason why he does all the podcasts now. We really don't. I mean, I'll do ones with friends like yourself and stuff like that, but he really goes out and does most all of the PR for us. That was something that we figured out years ago. There's no reason for us all to do that or try and do everyone together. It's like divide and
Mm.
conquer. Send Sal to represent the brand. He's going to communicate our message better than any of us could do it. I tend to have kicked up lately because of the business side and the getting into the trainer course, and so you are seeing me do more, but they're very like they're very different. Like mine are all business talk, and I'm behind the scenes, kind of pulling the curtain back on revenue streams and how Mind Pump monetizes. Sal is all the brand, what we represent, like who is Mind Pump, and what are we trying to solve, and what are we trying to do. So we've really divided and conquered that way.
That's interesting. Actually really segues nicely into a lot of what I wanted to talk about because I'm super curious as to how your business has evolved over the past, 5 to 8 years because we haven't caught up in 8 years. And I know we have a lot of business minds that listen to my show and me being just naturally curious, because I'm always just curious about how friends and colleagues are doing. What has been some of the larger pivots or have you made pivots over the past 5, 8 years based off of changes in the market right now?
Yeah, no, I a couple years ago, this was like 2.5, almost 3 years ago actually now. I sat the guys down and said, we need to make a move strategically, or else we are going to see this kind of slow decline in the business. At that time, we're 7 years or so in it, 7 years consistently, year over year growth on all metrics, the podcast, all the social media stuff, and then revenue, right? So everything is grown year over year and pretty much month over month. We've had a few months that were plateaus or small setbacks, but over a quarter or a year, we always surpass prior. And I could feel us kind of reaching that peak, even though we were still all on a consistent upward trend. I could tell that we were reaching what you call market saturation, and that was just our marketing team. Those last couple years before this, I know we're really starting to get aggressive on reselling to clients who already purchased. We are kind
Mm.
of onboarding the same amount of people, new people, but a lot of the sales revenue that I was seeing was to already current clients. We do a really good job with our people. If we get you in the ecosystem and you run a MAPS program or you deal with our customer service or you work with any of our people, we tend to keep you for a long time and you end up buying 7 or 8 programs. So that's what we've done well. But if you get really aggressive on the marketing side and you start selling those people 2, 3, 4 programs, through all these sales and things that we do, you reach market saturation where your best buyers and clients, they've got the next 5 programs. So they don't need to buy from you next month or the month after because they took advantage of the last 3 sales and have purchased their programming for months in advance. And so I saw that coming, and I knew the inevitable would happen, which is we would probably finally slow down the year-over-year growth and plateau, and even potentially go the other direction, because you're either growing or dying in business. You're never just cruising. You're either growing or you're dying. So yes, we've been growing consistently here, but be prepared. The other direction is coming if we don't do something about it. Then what happened was we started to build a product. Now, I said the easy thing for us to do is go build a $1,000 product. And what led to that was, I did the math on your average customer and your average customer's purchase, right? So the average person spends about $100 with us at sale, right? And 4% of those people, this is just kind of rough business math, 4% of those people will spend 10 times the amount of the average cost. So if you've got 100 people, 4%, so 4 of those people would spend $1,000. So, which doesn't sound like a lot, but we do over 240 programs a day. So every day, consistently, we do about that many units. And of the 240, 50 of those people are brand new, and then the rest are this is their second, third, fourth program. So I knew based off that math that we were leaving anywhere between $2.5 to $3 million a year on the table by not having a product for $1,000. So once I communicated that, the guys told them that we were going to see this market saturation, and then it was like, okay, we got to come up with that. Then the next problem was, okay, well, what can we build that is worth, obviously well over that. So the next challenge is, can we build a $5,000 product or $10,000 product that we sell for $1,000 so that the customer goes, oh my God, this was the best investment. The obvious thing to build was not to the direct consumer, but to go after the personal training market that we had attracted. We had so many trainers like yourself who listened to the podcast for so long that we're like, okay, listen, we've built a very large audience just that are personal trainers. And who could we serve better than general population? Well, most of my career and Sal's career was leading trainers, was teaching trainers. And a lot of what we did was the business side and the sales side. Like, we knew we didn't want to battle academia. I didn't want to go try and create a certification that was better than NASM or NCSF. Like, none of us were in had any idea of wanting to do that at all. But we said, hey, where is the gap? Where can we fill the gap for this now? So we've figured our avatar out as our trainer, and we know what the price point needs to be. Now, what is the thing that is going to serve those people the most? And the obvious answer for us was filling the gaps that national certifications weren't doing. So we could go all day long talking about what's the best, certification course for personal trainers. But what they all have in common is they primarily focus on physiology, nutrition, exercise science is the crutch of what all of them are, which is obvious and important, right? You got to know how the human body moves, and you got to know about nutrients and stuff like that if you're going to be coaching and training people. But where they all lack completely is the business side. So you get all these trainers. This was a lot of my career too. I get a trainer who's got a PhD or a master's in kinesiology, 4 national certs, and then yet they can't sell personal training. They can't get anybody from them. They have all the answers to help somebody, but then they actually don't know how to build their business because nobody really taught them. And so this was what I was really good at. I was not the best trainer, best fitness manager because I was the most knowledgeable at all. Like, I was the least educated, the least experienced, the least knowledgeable, but yet I was leading a team of 20 people when I was 20 years old and having a lot of success with it. Well, the reason why I had a lot of success with it is because I didn't fool myself into thinking that I'm the best guy to teach you kinesiology. What I did really well, which was I taught these trainers how to build their business, and nobody was really doing that. And so there was a huge opportunity back then for me to do it. And then that presented itself in this business was, hey, let's go teach these trainers how to take this knowledge that they're getting from these certifications or their degrees and then apply it to business. And then it's like, okay, well, what are those needs for those trainers? Well, obviously you have some trainers that are going to teach online. You have some trainers going to teach in person. Some are going to work in big boxes. Some are going to do small studios. So let's go help all of them. And let's create a product that they can purchase and they can sit through just like a national cert or any other course and learn all the things that we've learned for the last 2.5 decades and do that. And so we went about building that. Now, the challenge became getting 4 founders who are fat and happy. Fat and happy, I mean by financially happy, running a business they love, having a great time. I mean, that's where we were. Year 7 was all high fives, and everybody had reached where they wanted to reach financially, loving what we're doing, loving the podcast. That's really hard to motivate 4 guys like that to go build or do something else or hustle. And so what was happening was for that, so this is 3 years of that year of us knowing what we need to do, knowing an idea of what the product was going to be, then to go build it, we drug our feet for a year. For a year, we drug our feet. And it was like just every excuse, but the truth was we were fat and happy. There wasn't urgency to do it because it was hard for everyone to see that we really needed to do this. So I was kind of screaming from the rooftops, we need to do this. We need to do this. So we get after that year of dragging our feet. And then I finally go, here's the deal. It is so important. And we've now missed last year. We missed that $2.5 million or so because we didn't just complete a product. I want to go hire a CEO for that side of the house. And at this time, I had a really good relationship with Steve over at NCI, who I think you know. Do you know Steve? Okay.
Yeah.
So I knew him really well from all the working we've done. I know Jason and I had a really good relationship, and he was ready to part ways from NCI, and he really helped NCI scale their business. And I just thought, and he represented the opposite strengths of us: very organized, very tech savvy, all the things Sal, I, and Doug, Justin aren't really. And so it was like, okay, I'm going to put him in the position as CEO of this new business, and I'm going to empower him to lead us to here so that we can still do everything we normally do. And then what we do well, and then Sal and all of us are really good, is like, if you tell us, I need this today, give me a clip or write me this copy for this, we'll execute it, but leave us with this open end of time or what we need to do, and then we'll just drag our feet like we did for that year. So I go out, I asked Jason first before I would ever do that. So it's not like I poached him or there was any bad blood. I said, hey, I know that you've been talking with Steve. He was looking to replace him with like a really high profile executive from outside to come in and kind of replace him. They were leaving amicably, and Steve was like, I really want to get a hold of your business. I see the opportunity. I love the brand. I want it. And I was like, cool, here's what you're going to do. So big mistake I made was, and the reason why I did, because I know a lot of my big founder friends were just like, why did you pay him so much? And why didn't you incentivize him off of milestones and percentage or something like that? I said, well, I made that mistake earlier in this business. I gave somebody a percentage of our business back when it didn't have anything, it didn't really exist, and it grew to be a monster. And they really didn't have to do any work, 2 years later, and they were making a shit ton of money off of no real work or contribution to the business. And so I didn't know even though I had a projection of what this could do, I was afraid to give somebody a percentage of the revenues because it potentially, even though I said I knew we were missing at least 2.5 to 3 million, it actually really had the possibility of eclipsing MAPS Fitness Products, which is our flagship product. And so I didn't want to give somebody any percentage of something that could end up being tens of millions of dollars. So instead, we paid him a very, very good CEO type salary. Very, very good, which on the upper echelon of somebody who was running already a $10 million company would get paid. And it was like, and what I felt good about was, okay, and this is how I made the justification of that. It's like, okay, the desired outcome for me is to get this to market, because every day that goes by, we don't have this to market. We're losing out on this opportunity. And the big investment on this guy to push that forward, even if it doesn't work out and it's all bad, if he just gets us to complete this product in 6 months or whatever, then it pays for his salary and some just by that, which was my theory. And so we went out and did it. And he spearheaded getting it done for us, like getting the product out to market. I think it took us about 6 months from hiring him. So, at that point, we're pretty vested in it. But the first week we launched it, it did almost $1 million. And
Holy
so it
crap.
was like, okay, this it pays for him, 4 times over, and this was well worth it. Then we hit our first challenges with that of like, okay, cool, we had this huge launch, but then it really just kind of trickled off. And so this is what led to the parting of our relationship was he just wasn't the right guy to lead this. He didn't have what it took to keep this going. He did a good job of helping us launch it and get it out and spearheading the project. And so I'm appreciative of that part, but he just didn't have what it took to be a CEO of a business like that. And so we ended up having to part ways. We took back full control of it. And within the first, we were averaging, like it went from that huge month to like just down, all the way to where I think the last 3 months of him working for us, we were doing like $9,000 or $10,000 a month, which for something that came out the gates and almost at $1 million to come all the way down there was like obviously alarming. We took it over first month. We took it over, Sal, and all Sal and I did was let's just give free webinars for these trainers and help them, and let's just see how many trainers we can get for an hour and help them. And then just basically offer at the end, like, hey, we have this course which goes into even more detail and see what we can do. And that instantly took it from $9,000 a month to $70,000, like that. So we relieved ourselves of the overhead of a CEO that just couldn't scale, couldn't grow this thing, inserted ourselves for a webinar every other month, and then instantly reinfused money back into it. And then it's currently the main focus of it. In fact, right before you, I just got off an hour-long call with a company called Bad Marketing, who we are onboarding for that side of just for that side of the business. We have another marketing team that's run Maps forever, which is my uncle and that side of the family, and they're still doing that side, and that's continuing to do its thing. But we have now brought them on to really scale that, and so we're in a really interesting year right now. I know I skipped over, what happened year 7, 8, and because we're on year 10 now. We had a really rough, and we almost did the Crown Peak, but we still maintained growth. So we're on 10 years of consistent growth still, but it was very incremental the last year because this product took so long to take off. And Maps has crowned and is coming down. So Maps is on pace to have a lesser year this year than it did the previous year and year before that. And so we have kind of peaked in that. But what's nice is that here comes this new business that is kind of replacing that revenue. And because of that, it's really allowed us to still continue that slow incremental growth in the business. And attached to that is also the personal training side. So I don't know how much you know of this or not, but behind the scenes, we were quietly building a training staff. We weren't announcing it on the podcast. We weren't marketing it. But we wanted to build a team of trainers that we felt confident that could go and deliver our messaging, help people virtually. I've always known we had an opportunity here. One of my good friends, friend of yours also, I believe, is Mike Matthews, who we talk a lot of business together. And he's got a 7-figure online coaching business that's behind Legion that a lot of people don't even know about. And so he's always been telling me, Adam, you got to start training these people. You're missing out on a 7-figure revenue stream. But I always knew that it would be a monster.
I told you this. I told you this.
Yes, I know. You guys have all been telling me forever, and I was slow to it because
I told you to take my business, man.
I knew. Just as well as anybody, how overwhelming and how much work that can be. It's a lot of work to service hundreds of clients. It's one thing to go individually and go, you by yourself have 30 clients to take care of. That's its own monster. But with the size of Mind Pump, I knew that we would be having to service hundreds, maybe thousands of people. And I don't have the capacity to do that. And so who's going to do that and then not destroy my brand, right? Or our brand. So we were very protective of that, and we were very slow. We have 6 trainers that work underneath us. We mentored them. We basically coddled their onboarding for a long time. We didn't announce the pod, and we've slowly grown that. And so that's now growing really fast. Its first month of which was 2 months ago, did 6 figures in its first month, and it's on its upward trajectory. And we still aren't even really announcing. You hear little hints of it on the podcast now, but there's no marketing effort to try and get leads because we're already getting enough people asking for it that we have just enough
Sure.
trainers to service the people that are kind of begging for it already. And so those are the two big monsters that are, and we're also offering in-person training. So we actually have, and we took over next door to the studio to expand the space to start building in-service or in-person personal training to complement the online business. So those are the three main new pillars to the business on top of the original ones. So what's carried the company this long has always been MAPS Fitness Products. It's like I said, for 7 years, 8 years, it was on the rise. It's kind of crowned and plateaued a little bit, and a little bit of a step back this year, but it's still the flagship product. It's still what drives the most revenue. And then advertising is a close second. And then now it's the trainer course, and then now underneath that is personal training. So that would be the order of revenue streams that have continued to drive this. And so I've got my work cut out for me this year of can I still say we grew for 11 years in a row while MAPS is on the downward trend, and I'm trying to get these other ones up and running fast enough to backfill that business that we're not providing.
I love it, man. I think I'm curious to talk a little bit about the actual coaching side too, because from my perspective, we took off. Actually, it was kind of crazy to say this. We had a kind of a blessing in disguise, but in 2024, like we didn't run paid advertising the entire year, right? Which is a death wish for a lot of brands that rely heavily on paid traffic. It was a blessing in disguise because what it allowed us to do was really survey the marketplace and figure out what's actually going on right now, right? Because in my head, from my perspective, I feel like there was a trust deficit in the marketplace. So people have, been bombarded. Like, a lot of coaches, and I don't know who your like exact demographic would be on the coaching side, like behind the scenes, since you're not really running any front facing stuff, it may look a little different if it's just people who have bought your programs. But for us, like we were going after a market, like an affluent market, and the competition is all going after that same market, right? Because they have money, disposable income, they work too much, all the things that lead to needing health and fitness guidance. So those people are getting bombarded with all sorts of offers, not to mention like, the alpha male, market of like Warrior and like all these guys just screaming at them, right? So us taking off kind of gave us a chance to look at the market and go, what do we need to do? And our conclusion was we need to go back to our roots of nurture, right? Like nurturing people. So when you talk about the webinar, I was like, yes, like for us, like it gave us an opportunity to say, all right, we're going to be fully organic this year, despite trying to find partnerships with ads that just didn't work out. But we have one now, but all of our ads are basically nurturing people, right? Building trust. So our sales cycle is much longer than the average online coach, which, whatever business experts might say that that's a mistake. But ultimately for us, it's like we're keeping people a lot longer. Like our retention rate is like 75% now, right? Like re-sign rates.
I don't think that's a mistake. I don't think that's a mistake at all. I think it's very intuitive and intelligent of you guys. In fact, the call that I just had with Bad Marketing, this was the point, was I'm very aware that I sell a product for 5 times more than the average market, and that if you don't know Mind Pump, you're probably not going to buy it because you could Google that type of shit for free.
Yeah.
So I'm very aware that we make most of our money off that, but that's because we do such a good job at delivering such an incredible product. And so therefore, the sales cycle is much longer and takes a lot of nurturing to get people to learn about the brand. I'm not going to close you. You're just not going to go, oh yeah, these guys I don't even know, I'm going to spend this much money on. No, it's not happening. And so, and I think brands like yourself and ours are the better businesses. They're not built on the latest algorithm hack or the latest gimmick or what's trending right now. You've done an incredible job for years now, over a decade now, of servicing people, helping people, changing lives. It's slower, it's more arduous to get there, but
Yep.
you're more sustainable, and you're not going to be a flash in the pan who everybody sees you on your ads for 2 months or a year, and then all of a sudden, where'd he go? It's like, because you're doing it the right way. So I think it's a testament to your brand and what you do.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, I think both of us, you guys started almost at the same time I did. You guys obviously went the route of just absolutely dominating, the podcast space, and then obviously the information space. And it's interesting. All my coaches now lean heavily on your programs, right? So like Maps Prime Pro, those are long-standing programs that my top coach utilizes to this day to educate himself and make sure the clients have what they need. So, yeah, I mean, my approach has always been like, yeah, do I want to scale at a good rate? Yes, but I want margins to be healthy. I don't want a lot of turnover, right? You experience smaller margins, a revolving door, both internally and with churn at a much faster rate. Typically the more you try to scale at a faster rate. That's just not the route I want to go. Is it a wrong route? Not for some people. Like some people can make it work. But we tested everything. Like we tested, in 2023, we tested running traffic directly to a video sales letter, right? To get cold traffic on a sales call. When I say that fell so hard, flat on its face, it's like, it just doesn't work, right? Because you're right. We're not the cheapest by far. I wouldn't say we're the most expensive. We're not trying to be like some of these brands that charge, 5 to 6 figures for personal development coaching. We don't do that, but we aren't cheap. So yeah, the trust factor, I think, was higher a few years ago because of COVID money. People not still unsure, like what does online coaching actually mean? Like this sounds cool. This is new. It's quickly becoming the norm. So there has to be a lot more trust and relationship built. So we're doing live events every quarter. We just had one in DC 2 weeks ago. It was crazy. We had 100 clients there. It was epic, right? But these are like the grassroots, old school, like relationship building. We're in the people business. You know what I mean? Like, so we're not going to be like the, digital marketer, make a quick buck, sell a webinar, whatever. Like, it's just not. And if that means I don't get to $10 million as fast as other people do, cool. I don't even sell information products yet, right? So like, I'm not even doing that yet. It's just purely relationship coaching one-on-one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that when you build something like that, for the outside person who's paying attention or listening, it doesn't sound as sexy, but I'm way more interested in a brand like that. I had a really good experience about 3 years ago. I joined this group called Hampton. I don't know if you're familiar with Hampton or not, but it's like for founders. So, I had to buy into it. And which is the irony of this is I'm like, if you probably remember, I'm like a super anti-mastermind, fucking
You and me both.
Pay for your friends type of like deal. I'm not a fan of this at all.
It's so corny. I know.
It is so corny. And so it was actually, I love when my paradigm is shattered though, right? So I've been so anti all that stuff. The only reason why I got involved in it is Sam Parr from The Hustle, right? So Sam Parr, and if you listen to his podcast or not, but we've become friends over years. He's a fan of Mind Pump. And so he's the one who reached out and personally invited me. He said, hey man, I would love for you to be a part of this. And that only organically happened because we were friends. And like you, with my friends, they asked me, I'm an open book. You ask me about a business stream and what it makes, I'll tell you. But we don't publicly go out there and say that all over the place. And so he's like, holy shit, Mind Pump does that? I'm like, yeah, no, we've been doing that for a long time. Yeah. So I know we don't share it or brag about it or talk about it very much, but like, yeah, no, we've got under the hood, there's a beast under there. But I know we make it look goofy and fun and don't talk a lot about the machinery under there. But yeah, it's a well-oiled machine. He's like, man, I got to have you in my Hampton group with all these founders. So anyways, he kind of really urges me to do it. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this. And I joined this group of 10 other founders. You have to be a minimum, I think, 3 or 5 million a year to even get in the group. And so everybody is very established, very successful. And most of them are angel investor guys, right? Cap guys. Like these guys, there's 10 of us, and there's only 2 of us that are bootstrapped, like me and another girl who are bootstrapped kind of social media businesses that grew into these things. And then we're talking to all these other big founders, 100 million valuation, 75 million valuation, just cranking revenue, taking on money. And we all get to be in this group. And it came at a really good time in my life because I was having a little bit of what you and I are talking about, like, and I don't want, it's not imposter syndrome, but it's this like, man, I always saw myself as running this monster company and killing it at that level. And, deep down, I've always wanted to say I built a 50 or $100 million company. And so I'm getting to be with all these guys. And one of the first things you do is you basically share openly on the Zoom calls, all of your business, how you monetize, what you're doing. And it was overwhelming, the response I got from all of these guys that have been on Forbes magazine that were just killers and sold their second, third company, cashed out tons of money. They're like, man, I would kill to have your business. You have built, and they all said that, like, they're like, I would trade anything that I've made, what I've done, what I have to have what you have.
Yep.
And I was just like taken back that, man, I'm sitting over here thinking you guys are doing the real thing. Like you're the guys that are, and they're like, no, man, what you have created over there with your friends too, that you get to work with every day and full control of, and the cash flow that you've created, like, and the sustainability of that, and the no pressure of a board telling you what you can or can't do. Adam, you are living the dream right now. It was a really powerful moment in my life because there was a bit of me that was wrestling with that. The grass is greener on the other side, or I wanted more, or I needed more, or whatever. And I come to realize that, holy shit, actually, what I built, what we have going on over here is not only incredible, but it's very fulfilling and rewarding. And that was big. That was a big moment. It was really good for me to have that because, again, just like you're describing your business, I think you've built something very similar. But when you compare to some of the stuff that you hear and I have these friends, they're running $100 million company, and it sounds so sexy. And then you look under the hood, you see the margins, you see the amount of money they had to take on, you see that it's a valuation, so just an inflated number of it's not really what they're cash flowing. You see what they're actually getting paid, what they make, and you go, oh shit, maybe I actually don't have it so bad. Maybe what I've done is actually pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, I think what you've done, what we've done to the average kid who's coming up who doesn't know any better, doesn't realize just how cool it really is. And I didn't even until I got around enough of these guys and girls that were doing these big exits and taking on tons of money, and they went, oh shit, like, actually what we've done is really cool. So it's just not as sexy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not as sexy.
I mean, it is interesting though, because you're right. Like I've actually talked to other like big coaches in the fitness coaching space, guys who, I won't say who, but like, you'd know his ads if you saw them, right? Because they're very polarizing and they speak, to people's wealth and stuff like that. And, they brag openly about how much money they make as a company. And he's a good friend of mine. He's a cool dude behind the scenes. But I asked him point blank, I was like, hey, you're doing X amount supposedly. What are you spending? Like, what does your team look like? He's like, dude, he goes, it's insane. Like, I'm so stressed. He's like, we have 80 coaches, and we're spending 7 figures a week in ads to hit this number. And my margins, he goes, I'm not even profitable with a new client till month 4. I'm like, what? That sounds terrible. Now, does he drive a Lamborghini? Sure. Right. Does he have like a nice house? All that stuff. Yeah. Cool. But the stress, like, dude, I'll take a simple, quiet life with huge margins, smaller, intimate team, and, 500 clients that I all know individually that pays me an income that I can then go and invest and make more money, also stress-free, any day of the week.
Yeah.
Any day of the week. Right. Because then I get to spend time with my kids. I can take off a week and not freak out. I coach every sport that my kids play. I wouldn't be able to do that if I was running and gunning, or I could, but I'd probably be making the same amount that I'm making now, freaking out every day about all sorts of operations and are people doing the right things, being the CEO of a massive company. I mean, those are my clients. I know CEOs personally. They're not exactly the happiest, like least stressed people, So the truth is, and this kind of goes back to like the religion talk too, but like, the grass is never greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it.
Yeah.
That's it, right? You can make this business the most fun, sexiest thing. And if your thing is like, yo, I want to have crazy adrenaline up and down, dopamine spikes and cortisol spikes all day because that's just what I live for. I'm a crazy, business junkie. Then maybe that is for you. Yep. Just depends. It's wherever you water the grass.
Yeah, I believe that. I was going to ask you because I mean, you've been doing. I remember when you really started coaching people online, and when you were the market you were going after, you knew your demographic. You wanted successful entrepreneurs, people that made really good money, that were trying to run a business, have a family, and also get fit. I remember you've been doing that for a long time. I've recently seen a lot of these guys kind of pop up just out of nowhere, and that's like literally their ads are. You can't even hire them unless they make $150,000 a year, and they're popping up all over, and I'm seeing them now. So I was curious to how much that you've been seeing that. Has it impacted your business? Like, is it like the number one thing you hear from clients? Well, so and so is telling me this. Like, what's it like from your perspective?
Well, if my competition listens to this, they might change their ads. But those guys drive us so much business, right? They drive business to us because we've always stuck by our values. Our audience, yes, is in a more affluent over 40 crowd with kids who are working professionals who have had success in their career, but unfortunately have allowed their health to slip because of it. That's always been our market. But the way we market, and I think this is like a secret sauce that I'm going to keep riding with as long as it works, but we build people up in our advertising, right? We build people up in all of our messaging. A lot of the messaging out there right now to that audience is one of bullying, one of self-deprecating, and basically saying you're worthless, you're not as cool. You could be cool, but you're a piece of crap. Like, you suck. You don't make this much money. You don't have a hot wife. You don't drive these nice cars, and you're fat.
Yeah.
Yes, that will work temporarily on guys who have hardcore issues from their childhood that are looking for some kind of friend or, some kind of mentor that can replace a father figure, but they'll soon realize that it's unsustainable because ultimately, like we teach with fitness, you can't do a fitness routine that you hate or makes you feel bad about yourself all the time, right? It's just like fitness. If I go in the gym, beat myself to death, eat, minimal calories, hate my life 24/7, it's only a matter of time before I stop doing it. That's why 75 Hard, while it being a mental challenge, is not a fitness program. Right. And shouldn't be labeled as one because it just doesn't work long term. Same with these manosphere, I can drop names, but like the guys on the Baller Busters, Busters page.
Yeah. I already know. I see all, and
you see it.
That was a great analysis of exactly what I see. I definitely see that. Bullying you into the purchase, right? Oh, sure, you make all this money, but you're fat and you're this and you're that, and it's just like, so you got to get that. Like, no, it's definitely the angle that they take. So that's interesting. That's cool that you recognize that you guys have chosen to go the other direction. And again, I think this is an example of it's not as sexy. It probably won't convert as high up front. But over the long run, this is what builds a good reputation. This is the messaging I think that we have been trying to communicate to trainers for a long time is like, don't fall for all these gimmicky traps and challenges to try and make money. Be a great trainer, take care of your people, meet them where they're at, over deliver, under promise. Those are the things that are going to build you a solid business. And that takes time, and it's not sexy. Yeah. It may not make you $10,000 in the first month, but what it will do is it will build an incredible trainer and build an incredible business, and it'll be sustainable for a very long time. I can't make that same promise and commitment to these people that promise you make $10,000 in your first month, and they show you some gimmicky way to make a quick buck, but then you're still a shitty trainer with shitty messaging and not getting people results. And so you're going to just go through those people so fast, and then before long, people find out that you're that guy. And then so you might have had a good run with those gimmicks for a year or 2 years, but then eventually that flattens out, and then everybody finds out that you're not that great, and then you don't have a business anymore.
Yeah, I tell up and coming coaches and trainers all the time. I get asked to speak at a lot of these now. That makes me feel old. I'm actually going up to Toronto to speak at Vince Del Monte. I spoke at Jason Phillips's virtual event a couple of weeks ago on YouTube, of all things. Never would have thought I would have spoke on that because I used to suck at YouTube. But I'm speaking on building out a calendar of marketing and how to actually structure your year to attract clients in a consistent way. And one of the first things I always say is like, listen, as a CEO, you might think I lose the most sleep over our marketing, our ads. and our deliverables on the front end, whatever. I don't, right? And the reason why is because I empower people who are smarter than me to knock that out, right? And I look at it and I say, yeah, I give my test and say, yes, that makes sense. Where I lose the most sleep is client retention. Like, I want to be the best in the world at retaining clients, because that's what's going to make you money long term. These, you nailed it, the challenges, I don't know what you call them, they're gimmicky, front end nonsense that gets people like, oh yeah, I want that, right? And you have this huge spike. It's like the launch issue where you like you mentioned, where you had this massive launch and you're like, holy crap, we did $1 million in a day. This is insane. Like, we're going to be billionaires tomorrow. And then all of a sudden it's just off the cliff, right? And then you're like, how do we recreate that? And that's like your constant cycle that you're in. Well, that's what ends up happening. Versus, imagine a scenario where you retain 75% of your clients for life. Like, think about that, right? Like, I'm not a huge believer in passive revenue. I do think there's work that always has to be involved to continue to make money in some level, unless you're just investing in Bitcoin, then you can probably sit back and relax. As long as your time horizon's 10 years, you'll be fine. But for me, it's like, I lose sleep over how do we make the experience the best thing ever? The front end stuff, man, there's so many ways to attract clients. Like, the list is freaking endless, but you got to keep clients. That's the only way your business survives, at least in the coaching space, right? So if your churn is 90%, dude, you're going to be gone in a couple of years. Like, I promise, because I will definitely blast you out, right? Like, I'm going to win because my 75% retention rate and my clients who are loyal to the end, they buy everything we put out. They come to all the events. That's what you want, right? So that's what I'm trying to teach people, these trainers and stuff. And I'm sure you believe in that too. It's like you guys, I bought every one of your Maps products, right? Now, I don't know. I didn't know about the trainer one. I got to get my trainers on that one now. But that's because
CEUs, by the way, just so you know. So that was a big deal for us.
That's a no-brainer for us.
Yeah.
Because I believe in the brand, and you guys have always treated your customers well, and you're consistent, and the experience is great. The products are incredible. Like, just the quality is second to none. And I've bought every product, right? So that's the secret. It's not the front end gimmicky nonsense. It's how do we, once they're in the door and they've handed you their first payment, how do you keep them? How do you make their experience unforgettable year after year after year? And that's where I think we figured it out, right? And the answer, if you want to know, because I don't mind, I'm an open book too. The answer is community. That's the answer, right? Community is one of the 4 pillars of health for a reason, because people thrive when they're surrounded by positive community. And so that's what we've done. We get our people ingrained in the community immediately, get them to live events, that get them paired up with older clients, and that's what drives our retention. So yeah, I mean, the online spaces, man, it's quickly becoming, I mean, it is a cesspool. It is. It's not becoming one. It totally is a cesspool.
How's your journey been with coaches? Like, obviously, if you're servicing 500 people, I know you have to have quite a few trainers, or at least a handful of trainers underneath you. What has it been like for you? Because I'm so curious about this, because this is really where I'm starting to get into keeping them delivering your messaging and being on board with that, keeping them making enough good money that they're happy and sustainable. Typically, trainers turn over at a pretty high rate. I mean, that's what I did for most of my career, was hire fire trainers. And so,
sure,
you have your core 20% that stay on and are success, and then you're constantly turning over that 80%. What's it look like for you? Like, how many trainers do you have? How many people are they servicing? How long do they stay? Like, that type of stuff.
We made every mistake in the book, so I can speak to this pretty well, which is always how you become an expert. You make all the worst mistakes ever, right?
Yeah.
Biggest mistake, I would say, from the jump is not paying trainers on retention, right? You got to pay your trainers on retention, and you have to give them some stability in their life, because most trainers are not entrepreneurs. They might say they want to have they want to scale up a big book of clients, but ultimately, to be an entrepreneur, you have to be willing to stomach a lot of risk, right? The stomach acids that you feel in the mornings where you didn't get the stripe number that you wanted, and you're looking at things and trying to figure it out. Like, you have to be strong mentally to sustain that. And most trainers are not that. They want to wake up every day and know, these are the people I serve. I have my paycheck coming in, and I'm going to work my butt off, but I want to have some stability. So we used to just pay base salary and it would increase based off of how many clients were on your roster, but they'd have no incentive to retain clients. If a client fell off, it was like, okay, we're just going to replace them now, right?
Yeah.
So we pay commission, recurring, ongoing for retention now. That's a huge, huge piece. The second thing in hiring a coach and trainer, first of all, understand that if you hire an A-plus player, there is a likelihood that they're going to leave because they're going to excel and they're more than likely going to get bombarded with messaging that will be hard to battle, meaning they'll be pushed in a direction of like, man, I'm so talented and so good at what I do. I just go do this on my own, right? So what I do is, and for any of my coaches listening, they won't take offense to this because they'll know what I mean, but I hire guys who have potential to be A players, but are okay with being B players, right? Meaning they are just open and honest about the fact that, hey, I'm not in this game to do my own thing. And if I had any, entrepreneurial drive or ambition, this is not the spot for me. This is a spot for me because number one, I care about people. I want to have flexible working environment, meaning I can work from wherever. And I really buy into the messaging, right? So early on, I hired guys who were really hard workers. They're driven, but honestly, they're way too talented, right? And too ambitious. And like, oh, I want more. I want to be, I want to get into another product with you. I want to start this with you. And I'm like, holy crap, dude. Like, I love it. That's awesome. Like we could have a drink together and talk business, but like, you're not going to be here for very long because you want to go do your own thing. That's the second mistake. Third thing I would say that is really like ultimately one of the biggest things, and this comes down to communication and expectations with the coach. I have a limit on how many clients a coach can deal with, right? And that's typically much lower than what they think they can deal with, right? Because they're like, dude, I can handle 100 clients. I'm like, yeah, but no, you can't. Yeah. Not with the service model that we want. It's literally half that. Like we don't allow any coach to handle more than 50 people. And that's because based off what I've seen, that's where churn starts to get crazy. That's where the service model starts to break. And that's where burnout happens for the trainer too, right? Yeah. So we have a cap on that. And then long term, we pay our coaches bonuses for retention and good retention numbers quarter over quarter, year after year. And so now our roster of coaches all have been with me for 3+ years. So we haven't lost a coach in 3+ years. And I don't foresee anybody on our team leaving anytime soon because I also have a growth track for coaches who aren't entrepreneurial or ambitious, but have management potential. All right. Because we do have some goals in terms of how big we want to be. And there will be a couple, I call them project managers that need to be in place for our coaching team to thrive. But I've hired the guys that are like, this is what I need. This is what I want to make. This aligns with your expectations and time commitment and everything like that. And, once again, it's not the sexy thing, right? If you try to sell a coach on, you can make as much as you want. Like, dude, you're selling a sales role. Like this is fulfillment. It's not sales, right? Sales is different. Yes, that's a different person. So early on, my biggest mistake was just hiring basically sales guys for everything, right? Driven guys who are ready to work their butt off, who want to make uncapped money. That doesn't work for fulfillment.
Yeah. That's I like that. That's curious too. Also, was it 6 to 8 trainers would be my guess is what you're probably have underneath you most of the times?
Yep. We actually, as of the end of this month, we'll have exactly 6 trainers. I still work with 30 guys who I love. Yeah, I have an assistant that helps me literally around the clock because we have daily touch points with all our clients. We have the availability for all our clients to get on a call every single week. And we have daily group support calls for all clients. So if they need high levels amount of touch point, we offer that. And, there's always going to be the people out there that are like, oh, it's too much. You're creating a babysitting environment. I say, yeah, cool. Like we're creating an environment where we don't want people to leave. Like that's it, right? Like this is home for people. Plus we offer, quarterly events for free. So they can come out to our gym. My one-on-one clients can fly in and actually train with me for half a day as part of their membership. Like it's not extra charge. Cool. Yeah, it's really awesome, cool. Dude. And you know what's crazy, man? And this is where this kind of stuff. But for the up and coming coach and trainer, I say, listen, everything you do with clients, especially in person, is your marketing. Everything you do. When a client comes in for half a day, do you think I'm just sitting there hanging out with them for half a day? Of course not. I'm learning from them first and foremost. Like I'm writing down everything they say, everything they're dealing with. I'm filming a testimonial. We're creating a day in the life video with them. We're putting them up front and center, as long as they're okay with it, of course, to be a spokesperson for us, right? And they love it, dude. They're like so proud to be there and so enthusiastic. So I'm like, yeah, I'm flying them in for the day, but like I'm getting my marketing for, however long that marketing will last. Like I'm getting all those things. It's so valuable. So that's just another thing that I think they're short-sighted because whatever, business coach, the coaches out there that are coaching business are guys who just failed at coaching. And now they're like, oh, well, I learned how to run, Facebook ads. So I'm going to teach you how to scale, your first $10,000 a month. And it's like, most of the advice is total crap. There are some good business coaches out there. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But a lot of them are just failed coaches who are like, well, this is just the only way I can make online money.
Listen, if you make all of your money selling people on your coaching service, you're not very good at whatever it is you're fucking teaching them. It's just plain and simple. Like that should not be your main revenue service is not the people buying from you. Like if you make $10 million a year, but all 10 million is teaching the people how to make 10 million, that's how you make your 10 million. Like,
dude, my number one business mentor,
scheme.
My number one business mentor doesn't even have social media.
Yeah.
Okay. Cause he was one of the C-level guys at Microsoft. He ran teams on a lot of different like huge companies. He's written like a bunch of books. His way of, guess how he markets? He actually sits down with CEOs and advises them every day. And then on the side, he'll work with smaller businesses like myself in a limited capacity, but he doesn't have any social media. It's all word of mouth. That's a guy I want to learn from, right? Because he's been in the trenches. He's grown massive companies with massive pressure, massive competition too, by the way, for his job. That's the guy you want to learn from, right? Now, you may not be able to access guys like that. Sometimes you have to get fortunate and lucky to run into those kind of guys. But like most of the guys you see online pushing whatever, I don't know, whatever scale tactic or whatever business tactic, it's just guys who like, honestly, that's their business. Like they're making money off of teaching you how to grow a business. That's like, they haven't grown businesses. Right?
Listen, if they were really good at building the business part, they wouldn't be wasting their time doing that. And so
yeah, because it's really hard.
Most people, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't math. I will help 1 to 2 people at most. I don't tell anybody. It's normally happens just like this organically. Buddy and I talking. They're like, Adam, dude, would you spend 2 hours a month or an hour? What kind of time? I'll pay for it. Whatever it takes. I had turned that down for so long that eventually I had somebody who like threw a number out there and said, listen, I will pay you this. Just give me bi-weekly an hour of your time so I can ask you questions. And I said, okay, cool. So at all times I have 1 or 2 people that I'm quietly doing that. I don't even keep the money myself. I put it back in the pot with Mind Pump. I don't tell anybody I'm doing it. I can't do more than 1 or 2 because I just don't have the time. And it doesn't make sense, even as crazy amount as what someone is paying me for 1 hour, okay, which is a lot. It still is not worth my time to go market that and try and get, my whole calendar filled up with that, because then it would take from all the other things of business. And anybody who is really killing it in business, it would be the same way too. Let's say it's $1,500 an hour to sit on a Zoom call with me, and I have no desire to do more than the 1 to 2 people that are friends that I'm helping out, because the other business is far more important. And so when these guys are booking clients one-on-one to teach them business coaching for thousands and thousands of dollars, like that's because they don't have another business other than that. And so what are you learning from them? How to do the same thing? So,
and it's crazy, man. Like I've been in the game long enough to see most of my peers pivot out of fitness coaching and move into business coaching because they couldn't hack the fitness side, because it's hard. You're dealing with people, dude. That is hard. It's one of the hardest businesses. It's also one of the most rewarding. And by the way, like if I ever needed a job, dude, I would be unemployed for about 2 hours, right? Yeah. Because I've had people, actually one of my top clients asked me to become his full-time podcast co-host. Unfortunately, he's like, 6 states away. But the job opportunities I would have from the relationships I've built would be a lot, right? It may not be making what I'm making now, but it would be opportunity because you're building real people connection. And yeah, dude, like you're right. Like it's I'm so busy, so it's interesting. As you get more successful and numbers start to get kind of leaked out here and there and people start doing the math in their head and they're like, "Oh, you must be making this or whatever." You start to get approached about business advice, right? Like people ask me how do you grow your YouTube? Our YouTube grew pretty significantly this past year, right? How do you do a podcast? And I share freely, like I don't charge for anything. One thing we realize though internally is we have a lot of business owners, right? And so what we're doing, it's not business coaching. Are you kidding me? I don't have time for that. And I honestly don't think I know enough to be a great business coach. That's how I think a lot of business owners truly feel because they're like, dude, I know this much. Business is this big, right? Yeah. So anyway, what we're doing is we've created a network inside our company of business owners who get together once a quarter. And you know what we do? We do something fun. Because most business owners don't spend time doing anything fun.
Right.
We just went skiing about a month ago in West Virginia. One of the most fun weekends I've had in forever. What we do is the day before we'll sit down for like a few hours, just kind of compare notes. Like what's going on in your business? What's going on in your business? Well, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I think you should do. Cool. I got so much out of it. I put together my whole live event and literally an hour with all these guys giving me feedback, right? It's crazy. Live event was awesome. It was perfect. And then we go skiing and we talk as we're skiing. We kind of hanging out. That's what business networking in my eyes should look like. Or masterminding, whatever. I don't call it a mastermind, but we call it total transformation, not true transformation. But it's like, I don't know, jack compared to a lot of these guys. And they don't know a lot about social media compared to me. But it's like what I see in the game of like, okay, you didn't cut it at fitness. So now you're going to teach someone how you grew your fitness business to 6 figures a month. It's like you had 1 6-figure month, bro. Like do that for 5 years or 10 years and then come talk to me, right? It's just, anyway, but the online world, that's why I tell guys, is a lot of lies. It's a lot of lies.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's probably one of the biggest hurdles when you're trying to scale online is not falling for the trap of playing those same games that a lot of these guys do to get attention. And so staying true to yourself, staying true to your values, to what makes a good business, which is servicing, helping people, delivering a product that is just unmatched and like focusing on that. And all, like you alluded to it already, some of the greatest business minds we don't even know because they're too busy building businesses. They don't have time to coach people online. So it's interesting that this market is blown up of all these business coaches that really don't have the accolades, that really don't have the experience of doing that. A cool company for you to look into, this was actually in part of my Hampton group, one of the guys is a founder of Boom Pop. And Boom Pop what he does is very, very sophisticated. He's set up events for us too. Is basically events like that, like they completely organize for it. You tell them a budget, like, I'm willing to spend this much, and they'll go build you an event like that, all on them, and they'll work with whatever parameters you want. You go, oh, you know what? I've got a $50,000 budget, and there's like a bunch of stuff for you to fill out. What are you into? The things you like, all this stuff like that. Yeah. And then their job is to really organize all that. They work all their relationships with deals with hotels and the things of the leverage that they have to keep your good prices and good events, and they basically organize that. It's called Boom Pop. Really cool business.
Wow. That's interesting.
He's one of the biggest in the country, and he helps people put those events on. I didn't even actually realize how massive an industry that is. Huge.
Oh, dude, it's huge.
Yeah, billions of dollars. And it makes sense because as a founder and you're really busy, it's like, I know the value of what you're saying right there, and I don't do that enough. I don't take my team of 25, 30 people away to do something cool like that. And a lot of it is just because the time and effort it takes to organize that with that many people, shop it, find a good deal, book all of it. But that's what they do. They specialize in that. And it's brilliant. It's a really cool business and super helpful. So if you're already into doing those events, if you right now handle it all yourself, very nice to delegate that. Yeah.
My wife loses some hair, and so do I every time. Yeah. But we've gotten relatively good at it, but probably nowhere near as good as they are, I'm sure. Yeah, that as we grow, that's huge. I'm definitely looking into them. I got to ask you though before we wrap up, how's fatherhood, man? Like you're like how old is your son now? He's getting so old, dude.
He's gonna be
like
six.
six.
He's gonna be
Six,
six. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I know, dude. It's crazy. I mean, best thing that ever happened to me was fatherhood, dude. As you know already.
Yeah.
So like, anytime you talk, I think what was so unique to kind of my story or for my journey into fatherhood was that there was a very high possibility it wasn't going to be one. I was definitely on that side of the fence of like, hey, maybe I won't have a kid, and really okay with it, or at least then I thought I'd be okay with it. Now I would be, oh my God, it would be the worst thing I ever did was not have a kid. It's been awesome, dude. It's the greatest honor that I could possibly have. It is the ultimate lens to look at life through. It's changed my relationship with exercise. It's changed my relationship with my wife. It's changed my relationship with money. It's changed everything for me. Like there's name a topic, and I'll tell you how having a kid has changed the way I go about it. That's how powerful it's been for me. Tell you what, why on the topic too, because I'm finishing up a book right now, probably one of the best books I've read in a long time, called Whole Brain Child. If you haven't read that, it's been a while since I've read a book that I like had to share with everybody because I liked it so much. Such a great read for anyone who is already a father or mother, or someone who's thinking about being a child or having a child. And even if you don't, there's still a ton of information in there about maybe your own trauma, your own stuff that you dealt with as a kid. So incredibly great read. Katrina and I did the audiobook together, and even as experienced as we have been, and I think how good we've been with parenting, it's taken us to an even greater level. So
Wow.
Great book if you've never read it. It's a good pick.
Never even heard of it. Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
Yes, you got to read it. But yeah, no, it's awesome, dude. He's such a cool kid. Very different than me in many ways. It's very similar to me in many ways. I don't know, and I know I shouldn't say this because he's so young, but I don't know if he's going to be an athlete. I just I thought for sure with my wife and I, with our athletic backgrounds, I thought because sports is on the TV 24/7 in our house, I just thought he would naturally gravitate to balls and playing sports. He is the opposite of that. My son is into puzzling and reading, and he's definitely different in that category, which typically pairs with a kid that's more introverted, maybe even social, which he's not that. He did get his mother and I with, even though he's into reading, puzzling, and these quiet type things, he's also very confident, social. Like he's fun to watch the way he is with other people. He's got the biggest heart in the world. And I'm 6 years deep, and I've really, honestly, there hasn't been any really, really hard things for us to overcome. And I want to believe that's because of the job that we did. Like, I think that we did a really good job of the way we communicate to him, the way we communicate to each other in front of him, that he has had incredible consistency. Now, my greatest fear is that there's not a lot of things that he's had to deal with adversity-wise. And so the biggest thing that I struggle with, and I know this is my own shit, not him, is that I am very appreciative of all the adversity I had to overcome. And I know that I'm not who I am today. I didn't reach this level without all of that adversity. So I'm very grateful for all the shit that I had to go through to get here. And I know that built me into the man I am today. My son is going to have nothing like that. And nothing similar whatsoever on that side. So of course, as a dad, I go, shit. Well, how am I going to give him these values and these traits and these characteristics that I've built over decades of adversity when he does not? And then he's also not into sports. You know, too, how great sports is as a microcosm of life and teaching lessons, right? I mean, every day at practice, every day there's a game, there is a lesson for a kid to learn, which is such an awesome vehicle for teaching children. And so him not being into sports, him having this very privileged life, makes you go like, oh shit, like, what's gonna happen? But I mean, so far so good. I haven't seen anything glaring that he doesn't act like a spoiled brat. He listens. He's not a brat. Doesn't throw none of those things. And so far so good. But that is the back of my head. I'm always thinking about, this kid's had a very privileged life. I don't want that to make him soft. And so I'm trying to forecast where I'm going to have those opportunities to teach those lessons of overcoming adversity.
Yeah, I mean, what I say to that is I can think of a lot of people that I know who are very successful, who came from affluent families, who are hardworking, simply because they had a good example, right? It's not always the hard, like terrible fathers or abuse or like, man, my mom was a drug addict and, we were homeless for 3 years or whatever. Like, yeah, for some guys, that turns them into absolute savages in life, right? But sometimes it's like, hey, my dad was a hard worker. He created something awesome. I really appreciate his work ethic and his resolve and just like all the things that he passed down to me. And I'm going to follow in those footsteps. I think that can lead to a successful child or successful young man and, future adult. The sports thing though, like, dude, there's so many sports, like, this, like he could be the next great golfer, right? He could be a tennis pro. Like we think about like the big three, basketball, baseball, football, like, oh my gosh, if he's not into like, throwing the football around, like, oh my God, it's like, I have a son on the other end of the spectrum that's like, so obsessed. I wish he was more into academics, right? I wish he was more into like, I want to teach him how to create YouTube videos and stuff. Like I took him to a coding class and a YouTube class to teach him this stuff. And he had like no interest. He just wants to dribble a basketball all day. Right. Thank God he is 10 times more talented than I ever was at sports. I mean, he is literally like, not to brag or anything, but like there's worry with that too, though, because then check it out. Like every conversation I have with him about what he wants to do in his life, NBA, I'm like, do you see this? This is daddy drew this on. I am white. No, but in all seriousness, I mean, he's a heck of a basketball player, like probably play great point guard at some level, but like, I'm like, you gotta be more well-rounded, brother. Like if all you can do is dribble, that worries me too, so there's always stress as a father. You shared a book with me. I'll share a documentary with you. I think as a father, it's a must watch. I tell it to every dad. I told this to Sal yesterday. It's called Show Me the Father. Show Me the Father. It's made by a Christian production team. But it is one of the most, if you like sports, you will love this documentary. And I know you love sports.
What's it on? What streaming service?
Prime.
Prime.
It's on Amazon Prime. Yep. Show Me the Father. You probably rent it for a couple bucks. Well worth the hour and 15, 20 minutes of watch time. And Katrina will love it too. It's great for parents, period.
Cool.
Check that out. But yeah, dude, I mean, I see your son growing up and I'm like, every time I happen to be on social and I happen to see it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like these kids are getting freaking huge, man. Like it's, it's crazy.
No, that was very insightful and great to hear. So I appreciate your insight, your experience in fatherhood and hearing that. It's always good for me to hear that from the other side. Because like we said, in business, grass is always greener. Same thing is in fatherhood. You see, oh man, this and that, but it's like, you're right. And I do, and that's what I'm leaning into is, right, be the example. That you could say all the right things to a kid. Nothing's more powerful than what you show them. And so hopefully I can show him how to be a good man, how to be a good leader, how to be successful, and that attracts him to those characteristics. So that's kind of going to be my go-to move because I ain't got the other side for him. I got the adversity that was drummed up for me. It just ain't going to happen to him for sure.
And that's okay. You got to look at that as a blessing. Right. Like, despite it turning you into, an absolute, like, whatever, like hard worker, all these things, man, like a lot of that is traumatic, like a lot of the stuff you went through was damaging and hurtful. Yeah. And it's like, I don't want my kid to go through that, if that means he's privileged. Well, life is pretty hard at times. You lose people, relationships, bullies, whatever, bad people, you got to deal with life. So it's like, he's going to develop some adversity as time goes on that will be completely out of my control. Right. And he's going to have to be in those situations on it and learning from it. But anyways, man, I know your time's valuable. I'll let you roll, brother. I appreciate the time, man. And I'm super pumped we got a chance to catch up.
Yeah. No, really good time. Before I go, we can do it off air. Actually, I was just curious are you using a CRM personally, internally? And do you use a CRM with all your trainers and coaches? Are you guys like HubSpot, Salesforce? You use something like that?
Yeah, we use Go High Level. That's what we use.
Oh, so you are on Go High Level. Okay, so we rolled that out internally.
Nice.
So and we're in the process right now of white labeling all of Mind Pump's products. So you bring up the point of your trainers using our products on there. There's three levels to it. The entry level tier is, and you're very familiar with high level, so you get this. You have the calendar and you have all the basic communication with social. That's kind of like the entry level tier. The next level tier is you can use all of Maps Fitness products for all of your clients. Like, so you basically have all of it, and then they have it now access to your portal, so they can use all the programs for all your clients. And then the third level is you get all those Maps products and all those programs, but it's white labeled as your brand. So then you can we removed all the branding off the video so that we can build it out for the trainer to actually put their brand on all of our stuff. And that includes, the first tier includes all of our white label stuff. So all of our white papers, which is all mapsfree.com, which is what we use to get leads for clients.
Yeah.
And so that's like well over, a few $1 million worth of digital assets that we've created that the trainer now gets access to in high level and uses to generate leads for themselves.
Whoa, let me stop recording.